The goal for Camino is copper production. We think we're ahead of a major copper cycle. And so what we've done is found or acquired a project with Denim Capital that is the most advanced that we could find in the world, which means it's the next in line to be built.
Hello and welcome to the Assay TV. I am on site at Mining Investment London and I am joined by Jay Chmelauskas, who is the CEO, President and Director of Camino Metals. So welcome and thanks for joining me today.
Thanks very much for having me here today.
So let's start with an introduction to Camino Metals, and can you share about the company and your core projects?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Camino Corporation, we've just completed an acquisition for a permitted copper mine in Chile. With our partners Denim Capital, which is a large PE firm out of Houston, who have stewarded this asset for the last several years. And the other partner that we brought into the company is a group called Nittetsu Mining. They have 3 projects now in Chile. This will be their 3rd project, Puquios. Their first 2 projects are the Atacama mine, which they operate next to the Candelaria mine, which is Lundin's mine in Chile. And secondly, they're building a $400 million copper mine near La Serena, where Puquios is being built.
Okay, so you just mentioned the JV with Nittetsu, if I'm pronouncing that correctly?
That's correct, yeah.
So can you share the rationale behind this, and what is the goal for Camino through the acquisition? You can share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the goal for Camino is copper production. We think we're ahead of a major copper cycle. And so what we've done is found or acquired a project with Denim Capital that is the most advanced that we could find in the world, which means it's the next in line to be built. It's permitted for construction and production. And so what we'll do this year with our partner Nittetsu is work on a debt facility. We think that'll come from a Japanese institution. To build or to provide the debt service for the project. And then we'll top that up with equity, make a final investment decision towards the end of this year, which is 2025, and start building.
So you operate in both Chile and Peru. Can you share more about the jurisdictions and what it's like to operate here?
Right. So we're 100% focused on copper. And when you're into the copper business, you've got to go, or any mining business, you've got to go where the geology is. So we think, well, it's not what we think, it's what is recognized in the world, that Chile and Peru are the best jurisdictions that have the greatest endowment of copper in the world, and DRC would be up there as well.
So looking at some news you recently announced as well, I believe you've had some results from the Los Chapitos project?
Correct.
Could you share some of the highlights of that, please?
Yeah, so Los Chapitos is our Peruvian asset that we've been drilling for the last several years. And I guess, when you look at our overall strategy, I mean, Camino, we're developing now a copper mine in Chile. So that's on its own development value creation front. And then secondly, we are drilling with our partners, the same group, Nittetsu Mining, a project in Peru, which has had, over $20 million invested in it, over 25,000 meters of drill holes. And what we're doing there is developing a maiden resource that we think can be the next mine to put into production. So Camino in 2025, you'll see, value for shareholders being created through the development of the Puquios mine in Chile. But also, you'll see more drill results coming out of Peru, which we call our second mine to build and develop.
So obviously you're 100% focused on copper. Can you share more on your view of where the copper market is right now? What's your view on where the market's heading?
Yeah, so we think the market's heading up, despite what you see in the world markets. In fact, even when the world markets were very turbulent, the copper price only fell to about $3.90 a pound. We do our economics at about $4.25 a pound, which is where copper is today. And even if you look back a month or two ago, copper was at its near all-time record high, over $5 per pound. I take a long-term approach to the metals that we get into. I think copper is the next metal to cycle upwards. And, in my simple logic, I've watched copper for the last 20 years. 1999 to 2011, copper went up by 7 times. It went from 60 cents a pound up to $4.50 a pound. Then it has stayed flat for the last 14 years. It's done nothing yet. Yet the supply fundamentals are getting worse in terms of new copper supply, and demand is getting better. So we think that there's a very good case for the copper price to improve, but we're very profitable, or we are profitable at these copper prices that we see today, and that's what our economics are done at today.
So onwards and upwards then, sounds like.
That's right.
So finally then, and to wrap up our interview, what should our investors be looking out for in terms of milestones and near-term catalysts?
So the biggest milestone for Camino, which differentiates, I think, us from the sector here, is copper production. So that's what you should look for with Camino, the next copper producer in Chile, and then we'll continue to build our strategy out with our assets in Peru. So it's a 1-2 punch here, where we're getting production from Chile and development in Peru.
Thank you again for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of our show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Okay.